Greetings, Space Cadets, I'm Alexa, resident Ookie Spooky Girly, and welcome back to another installment of My Dad Thinks I'm Crazy, otherwise known as What the Heck Exists in Space. Honest to goodness, every time I think I have a somewhat firm grasp on stuff that blows my mind, I'm thrown for yet another loop. Back when I first started chatting with y'all about alien and UFO facts, I swear my head was spinning every day from new knowledge. Question for you. What's the most disturbing thing you've ever seen? I don't even think I have a clear answer to that question anymore, since after working in entertainment, I've seen my fair share of chaos. But hey, let me know your answer in the comments. Speaking of which, don't forget to stick around until the end of today's video for another installment of comment shoutouts. And welcome to the Top 5 Disturbing Things Seen by Space Satellites. Number 5. Viking Lander Aliens. A woman who claims to be a former NASA employee claims to have seen evidence of the most monumental cover-up in space history back in 1979 when she saw two human figures in spacesuits walk calmly towards the Viking lander across the Martian surface. Going by Jackie, she claimed to have been working for NASA, handling downlink telemetry from the lander, which was the first vehicle to send back images of Mars' surface, when she saw two people just walking, just hanging out. As you were. She and 6 colleagues were watching the Viking rover bustling about all over various screens when she spotted, once again, 2 men in spacesuits, which weren't like the bulky suits that they normally used, but they looked kind of protective, and they came over the horizon in that direction of the Viking Explorer. So naturally some folks have claimed that the humans may have just been there to polish the lander's solar panels and yeah, okay. This seems a little odd considering that if there were humans there, presumably they could just fill the lander with petrol instead or take the photographs for themselves. Jackie claims that while the folks were maintaining the equipment, their video feed was suddenly cut off without explanation, and when they rushed upstairs for answers, the door leading to the room controlling the equipment was locked with paper taped over every crevice to avoid anything being seen. Hello, suspicious red flag alert. Yep, waving mine. If you don't understand just how scary cover-ups are and why this is ranked so highly, then I worried about how blasé you are. Or how blasé I am. Other theorists claim there were secret landings on Mars in the 60s, and the Apollo landings were actually a cover-up for wider exploration of the solar system. Former CIA pilot John Lear claims that NASA landed on Mars in 1966, and that humans adapted to breathe the thin Martian atmosphere. Nigel Watson, author of the Haynes UFO Investigations Manual, said that these accounts of secret space missions seem to be growing in number, and remind him of the infamous Project Serpo. Yes, I promise, I will sidetrack. With pleasure. In 2005, a contact called Anonymous, who said they worked for the US Defense Intelligence Agency, started sending information about an extraordinary alien exchange program called Project Serpo. Basing his claims on a 3,000-page document written in the late 1970s, he boldly claimed that 6 aliens were recovered from the Roswell crash. Claims that aliens living and or dead were recovered from Roswell are nothing new, but in this case it was stated that an alien survivor from the crash, called EBE-1, helped to organize 12 specially trained people to visit his home planet Serpo in the Zeta Reticuli solar system. This mission occurred in 1965 and they remained there until 1978. During their stay, 2 of them passed away, 2 remained on the planet, and the rest after returning to Earth have passed because of the high levels of radiation they were exposed to on Serpo. I'm just saying, NASA has admitted that there are many things out there we don't know about and that UFOs are real. So what else are they hiding? I swear, between them and the US government, I wish I could file a million Freedom of Information pieces. Number 4, an island mystery. Hey, we all love a good ghost story, right? So how about one involving a ghost island? Alright folks, buckle up. Imagine this, an island the size of Manhattan, nestled near New Caledonia, that has graced nautical charts for over a century, even casting a shadowy pixel on Google Earth. But brace yourselves for the twist, when Australian scientists ventured there in 2012, they uncovered a haunting revelation. It didn't exist. That's right, it is the ghost island of Sandy Island, a phantom that seems to have infiltrated, cartography. Dr. Maria Seton from the University of Sydney pointed out that during the conversion from hard copy charts to digital formats, the Sandy Island era was entrenched. The perplexing tale of Sandy Island has left scientists scratching their heads for generations. The island's Google Map coordinates have performed a vanishing act, only to reappear intermittently, keeping scientists in perpetual bewilderment. Sandy Island, once mysteriously situated between Australia and New Caledonia, made its debut appearance in Captain James Cook's 1776 chart of discoveries in the South Pacific. It was corroborated by the Velocity, a whale hunting ship, later in 1876, and subsequently materialized on 19th century maps in England and Germany. At one point, it was believed to be a 24-kilometer long, 5-kilometer wide landmass. Now, doubts crept in, leading the French Hydrographic Service to erase Sandy Island from its nautical charts in 1979. The climax of this mystery unfolded in November of 2012, when, Australian scientists ventured to the island's supposed coordinates, only to be greeted by nothing. but an endless expanse of sea. Their depth measurements, which were around 4,300 feet, dismissed the notion that the island had sunken into the abyss. And just like that, Google Maps removed the illusory island from its digital realm. But if you venture to the exact coordinates, or take a peek at a satellite, you might spot a faint lump in the ocean, a ghostly trace of what once was. The haunting question lingers: did Sandy Island ever truly exist, or was it a phantom born, from a bygone era of cartographic errors and seafaring tales? Let me know what you think in the comments. Number 3. Life on Venus. So back in the 1970s and 1980s, the Soviet Union sent several uncrewed missions to study Venus. 10 of these Venera probes landed on the surface of the planet and were able to transmit data and images for a few minutes before succumbing to the planet's extreme atmosphere. In 2012, the Russian news service RIA Novosti reported that, I hope I get this right, Leonid Xanfomality, a scientist who worked on the Venera missions, suggested that the photograph showed living objects moving around on the planet's surface. According to Leonid, certain objects resembled a disk, a black flap, and a scorpion, which emerge, fluctuate, and disappear, referring to their changing location on photographs and traces on the ground. The editors of Solar System Research published an editorial comment and a number of commentary articles from other scientists in their September 2012 publication of Issue 5, Volume 46 of the journal, to be specific. That issue also includes a second article from the guy with the long last name, in which he claims to identify several other life forms and speculates regarding the apparent rich diversity of life around the landing site. It's a lot more rare to get alien spottings from folks outside of the US, and you know what, I feel like NASA is just out there covering them up. So I'm glad this one made it to the interwebs, even though folks have tried to explain it away. Number 2, a pentagram. So, conspiracy theorists, hey, let's start our engines. On the wide-blown steppes of Central Asia, in an isolated corner of Kazakhstan, there's a large pentagram etched into Earth's surface. And now an archaeologist has revealed the source of the mysterious structure. Maybe. The 5-pointed star surrounded by a circle located on the southern shore of the Upper Tobol Reservoir shows up very vividly on our favorite place, Google Maps. Now there are almost no other signs of human habitation in the area. The closest settlement is the city of Lysakovsk, about 12 miles or 20 kilometers to the east. The region surrounding, let's just call it L for short, is riddled with ancient archaeological ruins. Bronze Age settlements, cemeteries and burial grounds, many of which have yet to be explored, dot the landscape. So, what is this bizarre symbol, measuring roughly 1,200 feet in diameter, doing on the side of a desolate lake in northern Kazakhstan? Located on the southern shore of, once again, the Upper Tobol Reservoir, the creepy pentagram astounded folks, conspiracy theorists if you will, and Google Earth lovers. Naturally, many online comments have already linked to the site with devil worship, nefarious religious sects, or, denizens of the underworld. And it certainly doesn't help that upon zooming into the center of the pentagram, viewers will see 2 places highlighted by previous visitors to Google Maps. One spot is called Adam, the other Lucifer, which, if you don't know, that's kind of a name that's often linked to Satan. The pentagram is an ancient symbol used by many non-satanic cultures and religious groups. And by the way, Satanism as a whole is really misunderstood. It has been adopted by Mesopotamians, Pythagoreans, Christians, Freemasons, and Wiccans, just to name a few. The Kazakh pentagram certainly isn't the first odd discovery gleaned from Google Maps. Etched onto the desert floor of New Mexico are actually 2 large diamonds surrounded by a pair of overlapping circles, which is reportedly the site of a hidden bunker belonging to the Church of Scientology, according to the author of a book on the religious group, which, yikes, no thank you, I don't want to talk about Scientology, I don't need nightmares tonight. An archaeologist who works in the area named Emma Uzmanova told Live Science that the pentagram is just the outline of a park made in the form of a star, since stars were popular figures in the Soviet Union, to which Kazakhstan once belonged. So, sorry guys, no devil worshipping here. Allegedly just a boring old park. I don't know. What do you think? Number 1, weird white lines. And no, I'm not talking about no snow. Back in 2011, the internet was set abuzz by an intriguing discovery, a peculiar structure in the heart of the Chinese desert visible on Google Earth. Yes, we already talked about the pentagram, I know. But it wasn't the only anomaly etched into the earth in that region. As former CIA analyst Alan Thompson pointed out, satellite imagery had been repeatedly ordered to scrutinize this remote area, starting in 2004. So let's dive into some of the bizarre findings that we've found. For starters, there's a mysterious set of characters surrounding a location that some speculate to be related to border guarding. But why such a massive notice for border protection in the middle of nowhere? Next, there's an oddity in the form of an antenna farm or electrical substation, sparking questions about its purpose. And yet another peculiar site is a desert area, unlike its barren surroundings, hinting at something concealed beneath the surface. There's quite a bit more to explore, with suggestions of bunkers or mining operations, while a curious blue shade stands out as seemingly unnatural. Then we encounter another scribbled pattern akin to the initial discovery, raising the question of whether more, mysterious structures remain hidden. The most plausible explanation is a little more grounded, or as grounded as space can be. A technician working at the Mars spaceflight facility named Jonathan Hill claims that the massive lines are used to calibrate spy satellites. By focusing on the grid and its patterns, the satellites can properly orient themselves while in orbit. And honestly, I don't think that's any less disturbing than thinking about like aliens or whatnot. This Google Earth-driven journey into the unknown kind of reminds us of the wonders and mysteries our digital age unveils. It's a reminder that sometimes the line between the mundane and the extraordinary blurs, leaving us pondering the secrets of Earth's surface. And that brings us to the end of our list, which means it's time to highlight some fun comments. Starting off strong with a standout from top 5 end-of-the-world prophecy scientist Sphere, user Gonar Forever said, "Hate when these scientists do things literally no one asked for." Hey, I'm right there with you, pal. Especially when there are much more important things to focus on in this world. Moving on, over on the top 5 unexplained ghost ships discovered near the Bermuda Triangle, user Arete3286 said, "I really like the Orang Medan one. That story is one of my favorite ghost ship tales, plus there's a video game based on the story." Honestly, I'm so tempted to get into video games. Like, more when I have the time. I just don't currently have the time. And finally, over on the top 5 most terrifying eldritch horrors in literature, at Luther Owens 1983 mentioned he just recently read a book called The Violet Carnival by John Sickles. Apparently it's a story about a cult, the starry wisdom that serves Nyarlathotep, and it's a pretty good read. Thank you for that recommendation. I might just have to add it to my Amazon wishlist in hopes that I get it for Christmas. Folks, if you enjoyed my ramblings today, could you help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing if you aren't already, hit the bell for more disturbing content from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.